What's going on, Wolfpack Nation? Thank you so much again for tuning in. Please make sure, again, if you haven't already, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. Please like this video if you enjoy it. Check out our other content and follow us at Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter or Instagram. So we're here again with ICEPACK, with the ICEPACK. We're here with captain of the ICEPACK, Chris Solomon, and then head coach, Coach Healy. And thank you all so much for joining us again. So wanted to kind of jump right into it. So Chris, I'll let you answer this question. It's a pretty simple one. So what is the typical weekly schedule when you're in season for you guys when it comes to practices, games, etc.?
So we do Tuesday, Thursday night practices. They're usually late at night. I don't know exactly the time this year, usually around 10:30, which is because the way like the classes are set up at NC State, they can go towards like 8:30 at night, so we have to do it
Mm-hmm.
later on just in case one of us has one of those. So we do those Tuesday and Thursday nights, and then typically we'll have a Friday night game, and then some weekends Saturday night. We don't do really any team workouts, mostly just on our own.
Mm-hmm.
So just the practices during the week.
Okay. And so, and to kind of, one question too that I actually just, thought of as well, kind of piggybacking off the last episode, which if you haven't checked that out, if you're watching this, you haven't checked out the last episode, make sure to definitely do so. So what was, actually, you know what? Let me cut that. You actually already answered that question, so apologize. I'm going to cut that out. So when it comes to COVID, obviously last year was, an odd year to say the least, and everybody who we've talked to, it's definitely affected how you guys worked in different ways. So I wanted to kind of ask, like, maybe coach, you can be the best to answer this. So how much did COVID affect what you guys do, in terms of social distancing, et cetera? And then kind of a side question is, was it ever really talked about even having to wear masks while playing hockey?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think there to two parts of your question was it was front and center last year for the guys, but I was really proud of the way they handled it in terms of off the ice. They really stayed together as a group and almost formed their own bubble in a lot of ways. In the locker room, spraying down stuff, not having fans. I mean, there was that aspect of it. And when frankly, when the vaccine came out, we had all but one player vaccinated by the time we went to. A couple hadn't reached the 2 week point yet, but by the time we went to North Dakota, and I'm not trying to throw any shade at the baseball program, and this might sound like I am because I'm really proud and I get their reasons for not wanting, in the season, and I get that. But I'm really proud of our guys and how serious they took it to make sure. I think they just didn't want any more stuff stuck up their noses being tested. And I think, to your point about masks and stuff like that, I think they wanted normalcy. They wanted to be able to have the masks come off in the locker room. They wanted normalcy in the bus and in those situations. As far as masks on the ice, it became really close to having to play with a mask on the ice. I think what it ended up by the time we were actually playing second semester is you had to have the mask, but you could pull it down while you were actually playing. But yeah, we came close to playing with it on, and my kids played with it on actually, in the youth circles. I mean, so it came pretty close. I think for the most part, our guys, if that's what it meant to play, they would have done it, especially when they looked around and saw how few programs were on the ice. They wanted to be on the ice and do anything they could to stay on the ice.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things too, as well, that stuck out for me when I was watching the All Access uh, series was, so you actually had said, before you guys played, or while you guys were playing Liberty to start off the season, saying that, so originally when your schedule was released, you guys were supposed to play against UNC to start out the season, but due to COVID, you guys were able to set up something with Liberty to go play them a 3-game series at Liberty, which is a Division 1 program, and and play on ESPN. And how you were saying, like, it's it is a blessing in disguise that, like, not only were you able to basically say, hey, let's jump into the deep end and let's see how we do here. Play against a tough team like Liberty, but also get to be able to play in such an environment where you got to play on ESPN, get exposure for the program, things like that. So want to kind of ask, like, how important would you say that maybe adding that series in kind of helped for the rest of the season? And and even also too, maybe even for the team this year, that the young guys were able to get that experience of playing in a everybody's watching environment kind of per se.
Chris, I'll let you take that one from a player's perspective.
Um, that wasn't our best weekend, so I think
Yeah.
bigger than anything, it was a big wake up call for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't play well. I think we weren't nearly the team we were at that point.
Yeah.
That we finished at.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think it kind of served as some motivation for us to work harder towards our goals and just get better, which I guess ended up working out. Next time we played them the next semester, we ended up beating them. So,
Yep. Yeah.
So let me ask you guys this question, Tim and Chris. Obviously, the NC State, for those who are just seeing this episode for the first time, NC State obviously is a club hockey team. But I'm curious what your thoughts are, what it's going to take for this team and this program that you guys have established, club, to get to the next level. I'm not necessarily talking to get Division I. I'm just like saying to the next level or to the top of where you want to be. What is it going to take from where the program is now to get there, in your opinion? I know the ultimate goal is to win championships and all that kind of thing.
I think those are two different questions within that. I think, the question of getting to the next level of within where we are now, right? Within the ACHA. And we had a leadership meeting last week and we spoke a little bit about this. 4 years ago, think you're at the base of Everest and you don't even know what the summit looks like. You have no idea what's up there. But we're at the point where, we've seen the summit. We know how close we are. And I think, for us to get to that next level, one, I think it was a schedule upgrade compared to what we normally do in a non-COVID year. So we play more of those tougher teams to be ready. So, Liberty D1, second game of the season, the night after playing UNC, we're on the bus going up there. So I think that's one part to make sure we're prepared for that. Two, I think we realize what the individual off-ice commitments need to be from each person to get into that shape to be able to do it. And I do think we were at that point at nationals. And then I think we just saw, Chris, myself, everybody, what are the little things that we need to do to be better? Have a couple more wrinkles, whether it be on the ice and our special teams. Now I do think to sustain it, what we talked about last episode, some of the business side of things, to make sure this can be sustained for a while, to keep pushing us up the level, because we are going to have to go further to play. So that's within where we are now. If you're talking about actually moving up into NCAA Division I, it's an entirely different program at that point. You're talking about either, between 33 and $100 million to move it to NCAA Division I,
Wow.
which is how Penn State and Arizona State went. I do think it'd be 100% successful at NC State. But I think you could leverage Notre Dame to try and get into maybe the Big Ten hockey conference where they play. There's things you would need to do that, but would it be successful? Yes. But that's an entirely different animal. But for where we are now, I think we're on the steps of what we need to do in advance, upgrading that schedule, the bigger off ice commitment from individuals, and getting more depth, having a fourth line that, we can put out there steadily, so we can roll lines, because to win a national championship, you got to win 5 games in 5 days.
There's a lot.
So I'm guessing you having been so close, I think she'd made it to the Elite Eight. Is that taste in your mouth, having gotten there and then not gotten so close? I'm sure it lingers, and you never, probably not a day goes by since then where you don't think about it. But has that lit a fire for y'all going into this off season and now into the season?
I'm looking at you, Chris. Go for it.
yeah.
I see the smirk. The smirk. Yeah.
Definitely. I honestly don't even know what to say. I was just like you said, bad taste. knowing that we were so close. Um, but I will say this off season, we've had a group that has been working out together, and it's it's a lot easier to be motivated after that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So let me ask you this question too: with it being a club team, do you guys ever sense or like it's a chip on your shoulder that you're a club team? You're not like a Division 1 team or Division 2. You're like you got to be the club team, and then you're competing out. Is it that much sweeter when you see fans like in the backyard brawl we talked about that come out like, holy cow, that many people are supporting. Even though I love hockey. Like I used to play, but that was like the fact that do you have a chip on your shoulder at all being a club team, or is that something that's just maybe not a thing at all?
I think so because I mean a lot of people around here don't really know the difference, but for those who do, and you tell them, and you're just club, they kind of just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Um, but if you go out and win a national championship, it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter, does
It,
it?
it shuts all the haters up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think definitely it does.
Yeah, and I think the people that know, like when Derek Wittenberg came in and spoke to us last
Oh
year,
yeah.
he brought his rings. He's like, these are the only sports teams that ever won a national title. I want you guys to join that group. So I think there's that. I think the chip on the shoulder is another way too. Is University of Mary is a Division 2 athletic program, NCAA Division 2, and they're fully part of their program, their division varsity athletics. University of Providence from Montana is an NAIA school, 100% part of their varsity athletic program. You go up and you look at Liberty's facility; it's an
Mhm.
NCAA Division 1 facility every which way. And so I think there's another chip on our shoulders. Like, yeah, you know what? We're doing this ourselves. We talked about the ICEPACK brand last. We built that brand ourselves. We fund this ourselves. You know what? Great. You can have all this. We're still going to beat you. So I think
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
that chip on the shoulder too.
I love
And
that.
that for me is like, and the way I'm a competitive guy, that's the kind of stuff that gets me fired up. It's like, you can out money us, you can get all the biggest, baddest dudes, but we're going there, we're going to kick your butt, and you're going to remember it too.
Mm.
It's like I remember jokingly the Little Giants movie where he goes, it just takes that one time kind of thing, and it's like those guys are like, I'm those guys kind of stuff right there that gets me fired up. When you talk about, yeah, we're just going out there, we're going to kick your butts kind of thing.
Yep. And because one question that maybe this would be better for you, Chris, is so obviously part of your league or your conference, however you look at it, there's obviously a mix between your normal ACC names such as Carolina, Wake Forest, Virginia Tech, but then there's some of those other guys. So when you play, like and you see and you just jump on the ice and you see across, you see a big name like AC name like Virginia Tech or Wake Forest, does that maybe ring to you a little bit more, or does the feeling a little bit different than playing maybe somebody like a Coastal Carolina? Because I mean, I'm sure you're probably a sports fan. You probably follow state for sports other than just hockey, and so I mean, I kind of want to ask, like, is it a different feeling at all playing the teams like that rather than a team like a Coastal Carolina per se?
Yeah, I'd like to say that we want to treat every game the same. Um, but yeah, when we're playing teams like UNC and Wake Forest, those bigger ACC schools,
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely those games kind of have a more intense vibe to them,
Mm-hmm.
especially because you'll get more fans at those,
Mm-hmm.
just from people recognizing the school names.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot more exciting to be in.
I don't. There's one thing I'll say about. I think there's definitely the legacy factor of those schools,
Yeah.
but I will say this in particular about UNC is and Chris knows I brought this up to the leadership group last week. We've never probably played against UNC the level and intensity and attention to detail that we play when we go out and we've beaten Liberty or Florida Gulf Coast or won the 2 games at Nationals. We have not played 60 minutes against them like we ever have against any of those other big wins. And I think our fans and I think UNC deserves to see what would happen when we do that. I think everyone would enjoy it a good bit. Maybe not UNC so much, but Chris, are we gonna get to that point in September?
We have to at some point. So
Yeah.
I think it's the year.
We want to take a quick second here, give a shout out to our sponsors, Flatlands Jessup Insurance Group, that has your whole world covered with agents in 5 offices throughout East North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need, offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to help find a comprehensive solution that works for you. You can find them on Instagram and Facebook at Flatlands Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flatlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out. And if I wanted to confirm too, so this past year when you guys went to nationals, that was your first time going to nationals, correct? Because you're heading into your junior year. Am I correct?
Yes, that was my first.
Okay. So the first game you guys played University of Providence, and you scored a hat trick. And so I wanted to kind of ask. I mean, it's crazy to think, the first time you step in, and probably most people, and maybe coach, you could probably agree with this as well. Especially a guy who hasn't been into an environment like that where you're playing for a national championship now. You think, okay, they're going to probably ease into this, but I mean, you just step on the ice and score 3 goals, and set the tone. So I mean, I wanted to kind of ask, in terms of greatest moments. I'm sure you've had a lot of great hockey moments. I know for myself, I have a lot of great hockey moments I could think of. But I mean, would scoring a hat trick in your first ever game at nationals against the University of Providence, does that rank up there in terms of one of your greatest hockey moments?
Um,
Feel free to say no.
maybe not right there at the top, but
Yeah,
it was one of the better ones, I guess.
yeah.
I guess
Mm-hmm. I definitely know, and because I know, Coach, you had kind of said this after you guys unfortunately lost to University of Mary, is that you guys have a lot of guys back. And I know even from like what Chris was saying, that I mean the guys have obviously been very focused and wanting to get back and wanting to win it all this season. So I mean, you know, I mean, would you say that maybe even heading into this season we're in better shape, to win it all, even maybe this year? Like, do you think that we have even better pieces now to really go and win it all this year, Coach? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, especially, I mean, I would definitely say in games, because it definitely does seem like with college hockey, I mean, it's a high scoring, high speed, intense game. I mean, for any state fan who's watching who hasn't gone to a game, highly, highly recommend to go check it out. It is, intense. I mean, for the most part, you're right there on the glass, being able to watch these games, and it's a blast. There's no other way to say it for sure. I mean, because I know from obviously with the Carolina Hurricanes, even watching them and the fans that are packing out PNC Arena. I mean, all those fans, I would definitely recommend, if you've gone to Hurricanes game but you haven't gone to an ICEPACK game, got to go check it out for sure. Especially this upcoming season, we're gonna have a great team. So Chris, one thing for you, being now that being a captain now, so I wanted to kind of ask you with this upcoming season, look, now because I'm sure you probably even have already looked at it, uh, besides again the winning part, and maybe even part of your captain as well. Do you have any like personal goals that you have for yourself, and besides again the easy just winning part per se?
I don't really think of one of the personal goals for myself usually,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like if the team doesn't win, then that doesn't really matter.
That's true.
Um, I guess just being the best like kind of leader I can as a captain,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
the right times that I need to.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know. There's
Hey,
Yeah.
that's a fair answer.
That's a fair answer.
Being a good captain, winning, that's a good goal too. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't really care about the other stuff besides the winning.
Yeah.
yeah.
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
See,
No.
those kind of comments are more like the sign of like being like a true competitor. Like you hear about the guys like the Michael Jordan stories where he's like, or Kobe Bryant's or whoever else, just in football players are just like they are competing all the time. If they're playing like horse, it doesn't matter. And if they lose, they're going to be livid and they're going to they're going to run it back.
Mm-hmm.
So like those kind of comments, even though it's just a matter of winning, like that just shows a sign of being a competitor.
Yep. Yep. And coach, one question which I was looking forward to asking you personally. So I will go ahead and say, so for about 7 years, I was a ice hockey referee and actually did referee a Wake Forest hockey game. I can't remember who they were playing, but so I've refereed a lot of different games, and so wanted to kind of ask you, coach. So I mean, is your philosophy? Are you a guy that likes to get on the referees, or are you usually more of a chill guy when it comes to dealing with the referees? 'Cause I know from watching All Access, there would be some times in the locker room where you would talk about those guys in the stripes. But I mean, never really saw much. So I mean, want to kind of ask your philosophy on it, because I know that I've seen two different kinds of coaches, not necessarily from you, but just from all the hockey I've seen. So I want to kind of ask where you fit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone likes to get shown up publicly at their job. So
Yeah.
I pick and choose my spots. If you're I kind of like to catch him on the walk off between periods. And if you're watching a game and you don't see me leave the bench right away, I'm kind of teeing up that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And as you get to know the rinks, you kind of get to know the patterns. That's why I love Liberty. The refs go right off the visitor door, so you always kind of get that chance there.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, the one time I will lose it is player protection. A ref's number one job is player safety. And these are 18 to 23-year-old kids who have to get up and go to class the next day and use their head. And if a ref isn't doing their job in terms of player safety, I have a tough time with that. That's when I will tend to lose it more.
Yeah.
Other than that, I like to do it away from the team too. The not the player safety stuff, because if that can become a distraction on the bench,
Mm-hmm.
if you're too much and they focus on that, and I do think that is a weakness that we've had sometimes, is we tend to get a little bit focused on the refs instead of focused doing our jobs. And I will say though, the player safety part is the one thing where I struggle with that.
Yep. I 100% agree. Yeah, no, and good for you, coach, on that. It's a great philosophy, great way to do it. But again, make sure if you guys are watching, please make sure to go give these guys a follow at NC State Hockey on Twitter, Instagram, and also check out their website www.icepackhockey.com, and you can see their schedule, the roster, all the information you need to about the team. So thank you all, thank you both for joining us, and best of luck next season.
Yeah, thanks, Chris and
Thank
Tim.
you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us on. Go Pack.
Yeah. Go Pack.
Yes, sir. Go Pack.